Christina, just in the last month or two, I think we had coffee and she was telling me what was going on. And I thought, this is fabulous. I've got to have you to come here and tell everybody else what is happening. But um, so I've asked my good friend, Allysón Mejores, to come and talk about personal branding because I think that this day and age, your company needs to brand itself and do its own marketing. But I think that what's more effective is adding on top of that your personal brand as the owner of the business and as the key person of influence in that business. And I have a problem with it because I don't like really put myself out there that much. I have an issue there. But um, Allison was telling me a lot of stuff that she was doing. I thought this is great. I mean, you'd even told me a couple stories about some folks that you've been work with that had all kinds of success. So Allison, I'm sorry, I mispronounced your name, Allison. Um, it's great to have you today. It's good to see you. Thanks for doing this for us. So let me just say this, everyone. This is an opportunity to speak with a real expert that knows their stuff and has done it. So ask specific questions about your specific business and your specific situation. I mean, this is a great opportunity to really get some good information. So welcome.
So much, David, for this opportunity. Thank you, everybody who has joined in. Are you ready to get started?
Let's do it. Can't wait. Let's not waste any more time.
All right. Okay. All right. So, welcome. First of all, my name is Allysón Mejores, and I'm just so grateful for this opportunity. So, this is branding, personal branding for CEOs. We're going to learn how to turn your reputation into revenue. All right. So, section one, what you think branding is. So, here's a question, and I want you to put it in the chat. When you hear the phrase personal branding, what comes to mind? Just put it in the chat. I want to see where your mind is. When you think about personal branding, what comes to mind? Mm, thank you, Thomas. Thomas said professional imaging. Let's get one more. David said, is it what you wear? Okay, okay. So, all right. So now that we have people who have their mind geared to figuring out what they think it is, we're going to break it down to what it actually is. So, most CEOs think personal branding is posting on social media, becoming an influencer, looking polished online, or having a professional headshot. Somebody just said what they look like, imaging, and things of that nature. Okay, so let's figure out what we will cover in this time. What we will cover, number one, what personal branding actually is and what it's not. Number two, the difference between reputation and positioning. Number three, how trust is built before sales conversations. It's important. Number four, why executive visibility now impacts revenue and valuation. Number five, the common mistakes CEOs make with branding. Number six, how executive branding translates into revenue. That's the money part. And then the last thing is the process for identifying and correcting positioning gaps. Okay, and then who I am, I already introduced my name, but I am Allysón Mejores. I am the founder and CEO of Mejores Branding Design. My clients are specific, so they are only visionary founders and CEOs. The focus is positioning, authority, and revenue impact through executive branding. And we'll break down that phrase. And my goal is to empower my clients to step into clear executive positioning with confidence, strengthen authority and market perception, and attract higher level opportunities through visibility and trust. Because you may already have opportunities, but we want to take it to the next level. And the foundation of this process, when we work with our clients, we always begin with the executive brand evaluation. And I'll share with you what that is. Okay, so what executive branding actually is. Okay, so unfortunately, the answers are right, but not all the way right. So, what most CEOs get wrong about personal branding, they think it's only about content creation, only about being visible, and they think it's about self promotion. I just remembered David saying, I don't like really talking about myself. But that is not personal branding. What you all are thinking is actually surface level imaging and visibility. And none of those things have a strategy behind it. The real method of branding is intention focused, not image driven. And this is where CEOs get it wrong or they get some mess ups. It's because they want to do the image first and then think about the intention. So they're posting, 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 or they're doing their photo shoots for their headshot, but they're not thinking about the intention. So this is the order: intention, desired impact, and then image. All right, so here are the two concepts. We have personal branding versus executive branding. And I'm going to break this down for you. So, personal branding, everybody has a personal brand, if you're a CEO or not. And so, what this is the perception before direct interaction. That's just a simple definition. This is how you're seen by others. This is naturally formed through visibility and communication. And this is not intentionally designed around business value. Now, the other thing is executive branding. And what executive branding is strategic visibility that shapes authority, trust, and business value. It creates intentional market positioning. It's designed to influence perception at scale, not just one on one. And it directly connects to trust of the consumers, trust of the market, brings opportunities, and most importantly, revenue. And so, this is why personal branding isn't enough for CEOs and founders, because personal branding alone limits how far CEOs and founders can go in shaping perception and business value. If you want to rise to the level of an executive, really, you need executive branding because this is important for market value for you as a CEO, but also for your business. This is helping you to unlock your positioning and influence. And this is what the data confirms about trust and influence. Trust now is built through people. It's not built through companies anymore. This is what the data says. 92% of customers or consumers trust recommendations based on people over advertising. Trust is not created by visibility alone. It is built through people. The people want connections with you. And the secret is that companies build trust faster if we know who is behind the product. A lot of people want to be behind the scenes, but what is so impactful, if we even think about a movie analogy, a lot of people don't think about, oh, this is the great director who created this. We're thinking, oh my gosh, this is Denzel. This is the Denzel movie. That's what we need to have in our consumers' minds. We need to know the people who are in the scene, not behind the scene. The next thing, positioning drives selection. 58% of decision makers choose a company based on thought leadership. And we'll get into that. Buyers evaluate who demonstrates the strongest perspective and expertise, not just service. We need to know your thought process behind the service and product. That is why so many people like to go to the Apple presentations because Apple could just release a product, but they always have those presentations because the consumer want to know the thought process of those products. Next, executive visibility builds company trust. So 92% of professionals trust companies more when executives are active on social media. When your leadership shows, the company is believed fast. So let me say that one more time. When your leadership as the CEO shows, the company trust is built. And then lastly, CEO reputation impacts company value. Up to 44% of companies' market value is attributed to CEO reputation. In this day and age, your reputation is not separate from the company. It is the direct driver of perceived value and investor confidence. So if the CEO reputation rises, by extension, the company rises. And I have to let you all know that this is not random. This is a pattern. Trust is built through people, selection is driven by positioning, and leadership directly impacts value. So let's look at the framework on how to make reputation into revenue. All right. And just a check. Are you all doing good? Are you understanding? You can put a yes in the chat or you can put a thumbs up because I want to make sure that you all are getting this. Okay. Okay. So the executive brand revenue system. This is how reputation becomes revenue. So let's define some things. Reputation. What people believe about you based on their experience, visibility, and consistency. This is built through results, interaction, and proof. This is not just a strategy. A lot of CEOs say, I have a great reputation. Okay, we understand that. Okay, now, second, positioning. This is the space you intentionally occupy in the minds of your consumer and the market. I want people to put in the chat mind and market. Mind and market. That's what positioning is. Okay. And this is the key connection. Reputation is what people think you are based on your results. A lot of CEOs in this room have results, and that's amazing, but they're missing something. Positioning is how you intentionally shape the market and the consumer perception. So the actual path from reputation to revenue is that bridge. We have reputation, the bridge is positioning, and then the result is revenue. And revenue is trust converted into transaction. Trust equals reputation plus positioning. And so expertise build credibility. Reputation proves credibility. Positioning defines perception. And then revenue converts into growth. This is the executive brand revenue system that we use for every client. This helps them to get from reputation, positioning, and then into revenue. And so this is why most CEOs are losing influence without even realizing it. Even so far, you might be thinking, okay, where am I as a CEO? So these are the common breakdowns to influence. Number one, thinking hard work speaks for itself. This means you're believing strong execution alone will naturally translate into recognition, authority, and market perception. If you think like that, put in the chat. That's me. Next thing, staying behind the scenes. I already talked about this. But this means you're believing that the company can represent the leader effectively without the leader's voice actively shaping perception. The next breakdown is waiting until the business grows bigger in order to show up. Excuse me. So this means is that you're believing visibility or executive visibility is only necessary when the business reaches larger stage of growth. And so let's address these things. Number one, thinking hard work speaks for itself. And the reality is a strong execution alone no longer shapes perception in today's market. So if you say hard work speaks for itself, yeah, maybe to your assistant that sees the hard work, but what about the rest of your potential clients around the world? They're not even close enough to hear that hard work speak. And then the next one, staying behind the scenes. This is the reality. When your voice is absent, the connection between the leader and the value is lost. And value, I mean product or service. That connection is so imperative. And then the last thing, waiting until the business grows bigger to show up. In reality, the time is starting when you start the business. If you delay this, you also delay your client potential and market perception. And this is the impact of those breakdowns. It limits visibility in the market. It's slower trust formation. And then also, this is why we're here. It becomes a missed revenue and growth opportunity for you. And the reality, the market has already shifted. Trust has moved to top of the funnel. Buyers now evaluate CEOs before they evaluate companies. Just think about yourself. A lot of people choose companies based on the CEO. Also, trust is formed before any sale conversation. Another market shift reality. Identity drives purchase decisions. Consumers do not just invest in products, they invest into the people behind them. There is no separation between the CEO and the brand perception. We want to know who created the product. We want to know if the person is ethical, and therefore, by extension, is the product ethical? Or we want to know if the CEO is innovative, therefore, we think this product will help us to be innovative. There's no separation in it. And we need to figure out why this is happening. It's because, as you all know, it is digital access and transparency behind this shift in decision making. Buyers are no longer passive. They research leadership, values, and credibility before engaging with the offer, the product, or the service. And because of this digital age, they are being inundated with so many different companies they have to choose. And the one defining factor, which I'll get into soon, is you, your identity as the CEO. And this is the reality. Executive branding is now imperative. It's not optional anymore. We used to be able to do that, but now this is has to be a strategic pillar in your company plan. The differentiation truth is that many companies offer similar solutions, as I just mentioned before, but there's one CEO behind each brand. And without positioning, differentiation just disappears in a crowded market. Every person, every CEO is unique. You have your own thought process. You have your own reasoning why you built this company. And the consumer needs to know that. There's so many different shoe stores, but we want to know what was the moment when you put on some shoes and you said, I'm going to start this business? Was it because you were a track runner in high school? Or was it you didn't have access to shoes? We need to know that. We need to know the heart and the spirit of the CEO. That is the thing that is unique to you. And that is going to be the thing that makes you unique in the market. All right. So this is when executive branding is done right. So this is my client that I am still working with, and she is amazing. So AL Starks. Her company is Allysón Solutions LLC. Her sector is legal. Her company type is corporate mediation firm. And her target audience is corporate executives, leadership teams, and organizations that need conflict resolution. And somebody in this position is high stakes situations, but also her reputation is high stakes because if we cannot trust this mediator, and by extension the firm, she can lose clients. This is a product or a service that's not to be played with. It needs to be intentional. So her positioning directly impacts if she gets deals or not, if she gets opportunities or not. Okay. So this is before executive branding. Excuse me. So she was highly respected in her professional network because she's excellent at what she does. When people say, "Oh, well, I've been doing this for years," yes, those are the people that I worked with. So she was already established. But the thing is that her visibility did not extend beyond referrals and immediate circles. But that was her limitation. Also, value and differentiation were not clearly communicated in the broader market. And also, her company was not fully benefiting from her expertise due to limiting limited marketing positioning. And so this is after our encounter. Hey, after executive branding, this is the awesome thing that happened. We helped strengthen her marketing positioning, which helped increase new client acquisition and business growth. Me and her, we co created the proprietary concept of executive peace. And this is the thing that made her different in the legal market. legal market is because I was thinking when people think about mediation, it's usually reactive. We need to position you in a way that you are the go to person that is proactive. And so we came up with executive peace, which needs to be implemented before a crisis happens. After that, we launched the executive peace book, which generated extra income and generated credibility. Also, we launched visibility avenues that expanded reach. And then lastly, we helped secure speaking opportunities that generated new leads and partnerships. And we did this last year in September. And everything that she paid me, he was able to get more from her speaking engagement, hotel, all these different things paid, and which was a full return on investment. It wasn't just branding at this point, it was turning into real dollars. And so this is the business impact. Hmm. Before, growth was limited to referrals and existing networks. Next, limited access to new clients and decision makers. Next, difficulty standing out in a crowded market, and also expertise underutilized in driving company growth. And then after executive branding, he started to get consistent inbound opportunities, increased client acquisition, and she has a clear differentiator in the market and in the minds of her consumers. And so this is how the executive reputation revenue system comes to mind in this situation. Reputation. What we did is help expand credibility beyond her existing networks and built trust, positioning. We clarified basically who she is and also visibility, structures, and differentiation, and then revenue. The result of those two things, it was increased business revenue through higher level speaking opportunities, new client acquisition, and visibility driven growth channels. And if you're thinking of this and you're saying, oh, I don't want to be on stage, or oh, I don't want to do a book, you don't necessarily have to do that. This is what we did specifically for this client. Okay, and so this is how we do it. Our process to getting results. We start everything with the executive brand evaluation, as I mentioned before. And this is where we saw where the client's perception was misaligned in the market. We saw how our client's positioning was being interpreted by key decision makers, which are her executives, corporations. And then we saw the visibility gaps that were limiting her trust and authority. And our method at Mejores Branding Design is to design to reveal what is going on with the CEO and in turn, what is going on with the company. The brand evaluation is to see where you are being limited in your authority, trust, and opportunity. And the thing that we have found when working with so many different executives is that some executives don't even know that this gap exists. And so that's why the executive brand evaluation is so imperative. Because even if you don't leave here after the brand evaluation, if you don't leave here doing other services with us, at least you have the clarity of where you need to go. And so this is what CEOs are quietly navigating. These are some of the questions that they're thinking, because you may be thinking, Allysón, I'm a CEO, I'm a founder, I'm a mother. This feels like additional work. Why do I need to put branding for myself on top of branding for the company? Now, I want you to know that I'm hearing you. So, the reality is that most people don't realize is that executive branding is not just throwing anything on social media. It's not meant to overwhelm you. And the real issue is not creation, it's control because you already have a brand. It's whether if it's intentional or accidental. We need to know if it's aligned or misaligned and whether it is shaping perception or your perception is already being shaped. What this actually means is that executive branding is not an added responsibility. It is a process of bringing perception in line with your actual value, making your leadership visible in a strategic way, and ensuring that the market interprets you correctly. And so, what is really driving this hesitation is that most CEOs are not lacking capability. As we mentioned before, I know all of you all have a great reputation. You all have results, and people know about that result. But sometimes CEOs that I've been working with is that they've been operating with unclear positioning and marketing in the market. Perception is not fully managed, and then visibility is inconsistent across decision makers. And so you think about the extra work, and you're actually working extra hard if you don't have this in line. And so this is what executive branding unlocks. And I want you to put in the chat, unlock. Put in the chat, unlock. Okay. So executive branding translates directly into revenue through multiple high impact ways. This is what we're going to unlock. It is a direct revenue growth. It helps you increase pricing power. It is thought leadership positioning. It gives you strategic partnerships and visibility driven opportunities. And so we're going to break that down. Number one, direct client and revenue growth. So, with executive branding, it helps you and increase the quality and the velocity of attracting higher quality inbound clients, shortening the sales cycle because you've already established that trust, increase conversion rates, and then enabling larger deal size. Because when your trust is established before the conversation, your sales friction decreases significantly. It becomes smooth sailing. Next is pricing power. Authority directly influences how your work is valued in the market. And so this means you have a stronger ability to increase pricing with less resistance because we trust you and we know who you are and we know what you do. Reduce price sensitivity from clients because we already know the standard through your positioning. Number three, you get to introduce premium tiers and VIP offerings, which that directly aligns to your revenue increase. And then because you have stronger positioning, there you have a higher or higher stance when it comes into negotiation because is determined by how you are positioned in the market. There is no other person that does what you do, and there is no other person or CEO who has the thoughts that you have. Therefore, this product is one of a kind. It could be the same shoe with the same analogy, but this shoe is tied to a story from a CEO that deeply cares about us as consumers. And therefore, I want to pay $200 for a shoe or whatever that is. Alongside with pricing power, we have leadership and visibility opportunities. And thought leadership is basically that your thoughts are leading the narrative. This is the inside scoop in who you are and how you think. And so, and also when you do that, that can be through books, that can be through podcasts, that can be through keynotes. And so when you have thought leadership opportunities, this helps you get inbound opportunities, speaking invitations, come on, media features, advisory and board level positioning opportunities, and an expanded influence in your industry. Because thought leadership shapes perception and visibility turns that perception into opportunities. And opportunities mean a fast to revenue. And so just to recap of the revenue impact and what it unlocks, this means executive branding helps you get higher deal sizes, pricing power, opportunity flow, and helps you increase in business valuation. And so, what's this mean for you? I want you to know you're already being perceived a certain way in the market, regardless if you try to be behind the scenes or not. Being behind the scenes or being silent is a message to your consumer as well. So, this is not about posting more. This is whether your positioning or your perception is intentional or not. And so, what I've been discussing before is the executive brand evaluation, because this is what I started with my client with AL Starts. And this is what I want to give you an insight of how this is done. Okay, so what this is, it is a paid deep dive executive diagnostic designed to clarify how your leadership is currently positioned in the market. I want you to know I just don't do branding advice. We want to see change from the beginning. So, this is a structured evaluation of perception, positioning, and performance alignment. And what this identifies is your current marketing, your current market positioning. We want to know your perception versus reality gaps. We want to see visibility opportunities. We also want to see revenue limiting blind spot. And then after that, we give you strategic next steps for alignment. And why does this matter? First of all, I'm a strategic person. I built this business to be able to help CEOs transform into their higher level opportunities. So I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to put you in the position that you feel like you are doing more work than you need to do. So why does this matter? It's because you may be lost, you may have lost authority in the market. We want to uncover these things, reduce visibility with decision makers, miss revenue opportunities, and under leverage expertise. We want to identify this in the beginning because even if you may not see it in front of your face, through the executive brand evaluation, this puts it right in front of your face. This says exactly where my perception and my positioning is not aligning to the reputation that I know I hold, to the expertise that I have. And also, it identifies the gap between your potential clients and customers. And so, if you want this, this is a structured executive diagnostic that reveals how your leadership is currently being perceived. It shows where the misalignment exists and what is limiting in authority, visibility, and revenue impact. And so, if you want to start that journey, you would scan this QR code, and I'll give you some time to be able to do that. And this is a one on one session to be able to get you to where you need to be. Because I believe every CEO started the company for a reason. And I want to honor that by helping you identify the roadblocks that are getting in the way of you getting to that higher level. And so let's do some reflection questions, okay? And I want you to put this in the chat, and I'm watching, okay? So, reflection question number one. How would you describe your current market perception? Is it A, fully aligned with my value? B, somewhat aligned but inconsistent? C, not clearly defined in the market? And then D, I'm unsure. Let's see. Okay. Some people are saying not clearly defined. Okay. Some see Tanya said somewhat aligned but inconsistent. We got some B or C. Yeah. Okay. This gives me a good overview of who I am talking to. All right. Number two, reflection question number two. And thank you so much for participating. This is really important. I want to give you the tools. All right. Number two, what is the biggest gap right now? Is it positioning? This is how I'm seen. Or B, visibility? Who is seeing me? C, messaging? How I communicate my value? Or D, haven't identified a clear gap yet. Okay, Jennifer said visibility. Okay, we have some people who have not identified their clear gap. Okay, I see a lot of messaging, how I communicate my value. Okay, this is good. Y'all are really thinking. Okay, and I believe this is the last question. What feels most limiting right now? Is it A, attracting high level opportunities? B, being perceived as a top authority? C, converting visibility into revenue? Or D, lack of strategic clarity on my brand? Let me know. Let me know. Okay. A lot of people and a lot of CEOs that I work with feel the same way as everybody in this chat because although I believe all CEOs are brilliant, there are some things that are secretly limiting them, rather if it's attracting high level opportunities and you feel like I know I have value, but why isn't it translating? Or being perceived as a top authority or converting reputation or visibility into revenue, or B, I don't even know. Yes, I understand. And I've been at that place before. Okay, so just to recap, what drives executive brand performance? I want you to know this is the framework. Reputation shapes perception. Positioning directs perception. And trust converts into revenue. If one of these things are misaligned, the entire system weakens. And so, if you are ready to figure out where those gaps are and to get a higher level of clarity, you can scan the QR code. Oh my goodness, the QR code, and to see where I can be able to help you and to be able to help remove those roadblocks. I'm gonna keep this on the screen for a second. Okay. And that is all, everybody. I want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to pour in, to help you identify some gaps, to give you some definitions. And that is all. Again, my name is Allysón Mejores from Mejores Branding Design, and that is it. That's a wrap.